Corinne, you've recently relocated to Scotland, and
Hmm.
what's the story behind that?
Oh my, that's a that's a very, very long story. All right, let's start with the short part version of the story first.
Okay.
I am currently working at a university in Glasgow, which is called Glasgow Caledonian
Okay.
University, which focuses on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals
Okay.
and is very much into sustainability. And since sustainability is very much to my heart, that's where I'm working at right now.
Okay. Are you working on a particular aspect of the SDGs or
Well, no, they're mostly in general. So
okay.
it is the University for the Common Good. So it's in
Okay.
in its own title, and we focus on ensuring that students are sensitive to the needs of the world, especially because we have a lot of international students as well. So when teaching in the classroom, it is very normal to have at least 4 to 5 nationalities, if not more.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, yes. And the debates there, especially related to sustainability, can take very particular modes, especially if we're talking between people coming from different areas of the world. So ensuring good education in one country can be different to ensuring good education in another totally different part of the world.
Okay. And do you think a certain SDG is more important or giving more priority in a certain country to another? Is there a difference in that?
I would say that there are SDGs which are more important for one country than another. If we take the case of Malta, life below water would be
Mm,
more important
yeah.
to us, not than life on Earth. Well, because I'm hoping we take care of both,
Yeah.
it's different than having a landlocked country like, for example, Nepal.
Yeah.
So there's a difference in how valid they are and how salient they are as well.
Mm,
So, for example, the no poverty can be even more important in countries which are more developing than ones which are developed.
okay.
Even though at this point in time we're getting high inflation rates all over the world, well, probably in Europe more than anywhere
Yeah.
else, but yes.
Well, the plan is to everyone will be on these targets till the 2023. Am I correct?
It is, up to my knowledge, 2030.
So,
Um,
2030, I meant.
that
No, 2030.
that's fine. That's fine. And I think they are ambitious targets. I would love to dream that they will be reached.
Mm,
Um, I'm not so positive in the real life,
mm,
but I think that unless we really try, we won't even, if we don't get 100%, if we get to 50, we started from somewhere.
yeah. Well, it's not a long way to go, and there are quite a number of areas that require
Yes,
attention. So
yes.
it's a massive global project.
I
All right. So
agree.
that's the short story from what I get, all right?
Come again?
That's the short story of why you
That's
moved
the
to Scotland.
start, the short
That's the short
story, yes.
story. What's the longer version of the story?
Well, Daniel, I am 45 this year, so that's a very long uh, journey, to be fair. And what I like to say, especially related to um, our career development,
Yeah.
I don't like my career to define who I am.
Okay.
So if someone asks me, who are you? I would rather say that I'm a wife to Noel, who's my husband, I'm my parents' daughter and my brother's sister, rather than saying that I am and the title that is related to work.
Okay.
And that is something which I learned a few years ago because I tended to be one of those who attached my title to who I am. So if someone asks me, who are you? I would say, I'm a lecturer at the Glasgow Caledonian University, for example. But I learned, I would say, a bit the hard way that that's not the whole
Mm.
story. So if I were to look back, the thing that remained constant is for sure my love for education. That has been very constant, and I can tell you about that as well. But in terms of career, I started off wanting to be an archaeologist.
Okay.
And as you can see, that hasn't happened yet.
Yet.
So it's strange because um I I I don't like to plan and say in 5 years' time I want to be this, and that.
Hmm.
That does not really work for me. And
Hmm.
even because I've learned it through many years. So I wanted to become an archaeologist when I was studying at sixth form at that point in time. I
Yeah.
studied history and the languages of the countries who colonized Malta. So I studied English, French, and Arabic. And I
Hmm.
was very adamant on that. Then someone told my parents that there's no future in that. That was a that was not true. But anyway, I had to leave my passion for history and
Okay.
go elsewhere. So at that point in time, I just left school and I started my career as a secretary in a manufacturing company. And to be fair, just before that, I had been a waitress in a couple of hotels as well. So that's
Like
where
most
well,
people, right?
like most people. And
Yeah.
honestly, when I used to do interviews, I used to find that very important
Yeah.
because unless, at least the way I see it, unless we start climbing the steps bit by bit, we
Yeah.
cannot be conscious of what it feels to be lower down the ranks.
Very true.
And
Very
that
true.
is, I would say, vital, especially now that I was in management and in teaching management. So that's another thing. But then at that point in time, I had left the school and went to work, and eventually returned to school a year later. And that was another funny story because at that point in time, I said, what am I going to do? I went to university um, uh, and was going to apply for a BCom,
Okay.
Bachelor in Commerce. I heard people speaking in English and I wasn't comfortable with that and I did not go. So as I went to ITS, to the
Okay.
Institute of Tourism Studies
Here we
instead.
are.
And
We
here
did.
we are.
Here we are.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So I would say that my career journey has been, and I would say still is, um, not not fluid in the sense of not being permanent in what I do, because I like not reaching for the next step immediately. So I had a career in telecoms which lasted 18 years with a particular company.
Oh wow. Okay.
So so yes, that was, I would say, a very big part of the journey. But I
Hmm.
remember someone who used to work with me, and he used to tell me, Corinne, the moment you leave that door, the title is no longer yours.
Okay.
And I thought about it at that point,
Mm. Yeah.
and I lived it a few years later because I had become very much accustomed to having a particular title,
Yeah.
and living in that role and being responsible for that role. And at a point, once I left that role, that title was no longer mine. So that was a big help that this person had told me that years before, because when I lived it, I said, this is what it feels like. The
Yeah.
title is not mine. Who I am is who I am, but not the title.
It's a very deep message if you read, so it's not reading between the
Mhm,
lines, but
mhm.
if you reflect on it, the title is no longer yours. It is something that you acquire. A title is something that you acquire. It is not. It is part of you temporarily. but
Yes,
it doesn't
yes.
define who you are, and this is exactly what you're expressing. So, um, but yes, when you work very passionately about on your career, because a career is not something that is it's ever changing, sort of.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like island hopping. Um,